Good evening. I'm Leland. Welcome to the program. President Biden called white supremacy a threat to our republic in Buffalo today, why he didn't even mention the other terror attack this weekend. And speaking of threats, would $6 a gallon gas be more of a danger to Americans? Plus, live pictures in Pennsylvania, why Republicans worry their chances for a Senate majority could end with the Keystone State primaries tonight. But first, on point tonight, there were two gunmen this weekend who opened fire on people they didn't know because they didn't like the ethnic group their victims belonged to. But for our president, for the Democratic Party, and for the establishment media, one represents an opportunity, the other a challenge, even a threat. Today, President Biden made clear he only cares about terror attacks that help him politically.
What happened here is simple and straightforward. Terrorism. Terrorism. Domestic terrorism. Violence inflicted in the service of hate.
As we said yesterday, a racist, hateful, mentally ill, and evil teenager opened fire in Buffalo over the weekend, killing 10. But when we think about organized terrorism against America, what happened in Laguna Woods, California, certainly warrants a government response. A gunman of Chinese descent, angry about Taiwan, a close American ally, stormed a Taiwanese church. Here's the district attorney there in California describing the attack.
If the gun had not jammed, that suspect, Mr. Chou, he was ready to kill everybody in that church. He had explosives. He had Molotov cocktail type devices. He had about 15 magazines fully loaded with 9mm rounds. He had 2 semi-automatic weapons, and he chained the doors from the inside so that the congregants could not get out. He also picked a very vulnerable community.
A vulnerable community that China wants to invade. Almost sounds more like an act of war than simply an act of terrorism, but it does sound a lot like the Buffalo shooting before the gun jammed. You're right. Evil men planned both attacks to kill people they hated. Payton Gendron targeted people of color, drove 200 miles to a location. His motive was documented in that hateful online manifesto. David Chou targeted people of Taiwanese descent, drove 270 miles to the church where he opened fire, and he carried handwritten notes talking about how much he hated Taiwan and the Taiwanese. At today's speech in Buffalo, President Biden offered a call to arms, if you will, for America to stand up and confront not only those who commit violence, but the people who motivate them.
You can't prevent people from being radicalized to violence, but we can address the relentless exploitation of the internet to recruit and mobilize terrorism. We just need to have the courage to do that, to stand up.
Courage is indeed important, but to stand up to who? Those we disagree with or those who actually encourage violence? President Biden and his supporters have not really made a distinction between people they disagree with and people that encourage violence over the past few days. MSNBC and CNN spent the weekend highlighting Fox News' Tucker Carlson for guilt by association, for them questioning the administration's immigration policy and calling for shootings in grocery stores is essentially the same thing. As we showed you yesterday, the Washington Post didn't make of a distinction either. They couldn't wait. Stefanik echoed racist theory allegedly espoused by Buffalo suspect, referring to Congressman Elise Stefanik, the House Republican number 3. Here is Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on the Senate floor today.
No network has had more impact in propagating and normalizing the rhetoric of replacement theory than Fox News.
Never mind that a few minutes ago, J.P. Morgan warned of $6 a gallon gas this summer. Never mind the baby formula shortage will continue for weeks, not months. Never mind homicide is now the leading cause of death for young black men in America. The Senate Majority Leader, as you just saw, believes a TV host talking about immigration policy will bring our country down. All right, that's the standard. Fine, let's live with it. So now if an evil person does something evil, and they believe fringe conspiracy theories about a topic you have spoken on, it's your fault. So let's look, for example, at China's rhetoric on Taiwan. Here's some of the things that Beijing has said. Remember, this isn't a fringe. This is the government of China saying this. Taiwan and the U.S. should be sent a message. Military conflicts will be triggered across the Taiwan Straits. They need to severely punish the reckless acts of Taiwan. Reunification of the motherland must be fulfilled. Whoever plays with fire will get burned. So a foreign power and America's adversary demonized an entire people. They talked about punishment and talked about sending a message. Yet a man of Chinese descent drives hundreds of miles to kill Americans, Taiwanese Americans, because they came from Taiwan, and we hear zero from the president, zero from the Senate Majority Leader, and virtually nothing from MSNBC. Again, if Tucker and Elise Stefanik are responsible for Buffalo, why isn't China responsible for the California attack? That's On Point tonight. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.